So we hear all the time about how AI is changing, well, everything. But what happens when you specifically teach an AI to understand the super complex, kind of weird language of money? That's what we're digging into today. We're talking about an AI called FinBERT, which was built to speak fluent finance. And that brings up a really big question, right? I mean, a general AI, it can write a poem, it can summarize an article for you, no problem. But can it really get the nuance of a dense financial report? Can it actually tell the difference between, say, market hype and a real, genuine warning sign? Because here's the thing. Even the most powerful general-purpose AIs, they kind of have this financial blind spot. The language of finance, it's not just a bunch of words. It's a whole different world where context, subtext, and super specific jargon carry so much weight. Seriously, a single phrase can be the difference between making a fortune and losing one. Okay, let's look at a perfect example of this problem. In everyday language, if you say, the outlook is negative, that's, just a feeling, a vibe. But in finance, a phrase like, the company guided to negative earnings for Q4, whoa, that is an incredibly specific statement with huge implications. A general AI might just see both sentences and think, okay, bad news. It would totally miss the critical, measurable information in that second statement. A good way to think about this is like a general doctor versus a specialist. Your family doctor, the generalist, is amazing. They know a ton about a wide range of things. But if you have a really complex heart issue, you're not going to them, are you? You're going to a cardiologist. It's the same thing here. For analyzing something as tricky as an SEC filing, you don't want a generalist AI. You need a specialist, one that has spent its entire existence studying just that. So, all right, if you need a specialist, how do you even build one? Well, a team of researchers saw this exact problem, this gap, and they decided to do something about it. They took a world-class AI, and for all intents and purposes, they sent it to business school. And that right there is the origin story of FinBERT. Okay, so what is FinBERT exactly? Well, it all starts with a model called BERT, which is this really powerful language AI from Google. It's famous for understanding context. But here's the game-changing difference. It's education. Instead of learning from the entire internet, Wikipedia and everything else, FinBERT was trained exclusively on a massive library of financial documents. That's it, nothing else. And when I say massive, I mean it. The scale of this education is just staggering. FinBERT was trained on 4.9 billion tokens. Now, you can just think of a token as a piece of information, like a word, or even part of a word. By churning through billions and billions of these, the AI just soaked up all the vocabulary, the grammar, and all the subtle context of financial language. Yeah, 4.9 billion. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. That is an enormous library of text, all focused on one single subject. This wasn't some weekend crash course. This was a deep, immersive, PhD-level education in finance. And this wasn't just random text from some finance blog. Oh no. FinBERT was trained on the absolute most important documents in the financial world. We're talking official corporate reports, the 10 Ks and 10 Qs filed with the government. We're talking about the transcripts from earnings calls where CEOs are on the hot seat with analysts. And we're talking about the super detailed reports those analysts then write for investors. This is the real deal, the dense, high-stakes language of the market. So to put that 4.9 billion number into perspective, let's look at the original general BERT model. It was trained on about 3.3 billion tokens. So not only was FinBERT's education bigger, 4.9 billion is a lot more than 3.3 billion, but it was also 100% focused on finance. It had a bigger and a way more specialized curriculum than the original. Okay, so after all that specialized training, after that deep dive into finance, the big question is, did it actually work? Was it worth it? So the researchers set up a classic showdown, the new specialist, FinBERT, versus the original generalist, BERT, in a head-to-head competition. The test itself was pretty straightforward, but absolutely crucial. They gave both AIs thousands of sentences pulled from financial reports, and the job was simple. Classify the sentiment. Is the sentence positive? Is it negative? Or is it just neutral? And this is a huge deal, right? This is a core task for pretty much anyone trying to get a read on the market's mood. And the results, well, they were pretty stunning.
On this key financial dataset, the generalist BERT was accurate about 73% of the time, which, hey, that's not bad at all. But FinBERT, the specialist, it hit over 84% accuracy. Now, that 11-point jump might not sound like a lot, but believe me, in the world of finance, that is a massive leap in reliability. It's a game changer.
You know, the researchers themselves really summed it up perfectly in their paper. They confirmed that this whole idea of giving an AI a specialized education in finance, well, it's effective and enhances its ability to do these critical financial tasks. Plain and simple, the specialist beat the generalist, hands down. So, what does this all mean, really? Why should we care about this beyond just a cool research paper? Well, the implications for the future of finance they're enormous. Let's just think about a practical application for a second. Imagine a system that's just constantly pulling in thousands of news articles, earnings reports, even social media posts every single second. FinBERT could then analyze all of that text, understanding the sentiment with a level of nuance and accuracy that was just impossible before. That provides an incredibly powerful signal that could inform both automated and human trading strategies. And honestly, the potential goes way beyond just analyzing sentiment. Think about it. A deep, true understanding of financial language, the kind FinBERT has, could be used to tackle even bigger challenges. We're talking about predicting stock returns, forecasting market volatility, or maybe even detecting those tiny, faint signals of corporate fraud that are buried deep inside thousands of pages of financial documents. And that really leaves us with this final big thought. We've already seen specialist AIs pop up for biology and medicine, and now we have one for finance. So if an AI can be trained to master the incredibly complex, nuanced, and frankly weird language of Wall Street, what's next? What specialized field is going to be transformed? Law? Engineering? It really feels like the era of the AI specialist is just getting started.